All right, getting started a little late here. Had some audio issues, so hopefully those are resolved now. I'll just double check OBS real quick. Looks okay. If for some reason it's not, I guess you can't. I guess you wouldn't be able to hear me anyway, um, and I wouldn't really know. But hopefully it's fine. Um, yeah. So let's just get started. little off because of that, but so this week basically going to be a continuation of last week. Guess I should have pulled this up ahead of time, but So yeah, going to try take two of this, which is adding Arweave URL support to LogSeq, which is sort of open source knowledge management tool. A couple things I want to mention here too, just some stuff I was tweeting about this morning. So this is cool. Someone has put together a bookmarking tool on top of Arweave. I haven't used it, so this is more an endorsement of the idea than the implementation, though I'm sure it's cool and you should give it a shot. What's neat about this is, so I think it's a combination of both bookmarking and sort of content saving, so you can save bits of content from parts of the internet you're browsing. And once you do that, that's saved forever for everyone. And I think what that lets you do is, as people save bits of content, they're permanent. You can start using them in other contexts. So one thing I'm very excited about seeing is sort of an emergent knowledge graph start to be built on top of Arweave. So if we have all this content, we can start mixing it together and combining it. You can take a tool like LogSeq or whatever your favorite version of that type of tool is and start embedding this content without fear of it changing. That shifts the incentives of what we do with content. So currently in the mutable web, there's this incentive to copy and create little islands of information because you never know if the content you save is going to disappear. You can't really trust that you can recombine it safely. As soon as you change that so that the content, one, can't change, and two, is permanent, you can start reusing instead of copying. So it shifts the incentives towards composing data and creating content that is a composition of lots of small pieces of data and away from this sort of copying. So I think that, one, that's just more efficient. But two, it also just builds up a much richer web of knowledge. I'm going to talk about this more in a future video at some point, but I think the amount of information you're encoding with that kind of model is just much higher than the current mutable web. The current mutable web pushes things towards disorder and fragmentation. Immutability pushes in the opposite direction towards order and reuse. And further, I think that if you have this immutable substrate that you're building on, there's certain concepts that people are feeling like they need to implement as first class objects in their systems. So one of those is like a block identity. So Rome pioneered this idea. I think it's a good idea, but I should explain what it is too a little bit. So extreme topics. Yeah, let me switch to my test notes here. Yeah, so in LogSeq or similar tools, you have blocks, and so like this, and each one of these bullet points is a block. Oops, why did I put a D there? C, D, and what a lot of these tools let you do is directly address the blocks. So you could embed just this block in another document. And different tools have different ways of implementing this. There's sort of some debate around this as to whether this needs to be a first-class thing. And I would argue, whether it is or not in any particular tool is kind of an implementation detail of how the what the people making the tool think is best in terms of usability. Um, but actually, you know what? Sorry to break my train of thought. I'm just going to say, if you're watching and can't hear me, throw a message in here. Just I'm a little nervous given my audio issues this morning. Guess I should have chatted that as. Yeah, that's good enough. I connect with 2 accounts, so I can. Yeah, not important reasons. Okay, sorry, I was mid train of thought there. So, yeah, your tool may or may not implement this sort of as a first class thing in terms of how it's storing the content. But if the data you're referring to is immutable, it sort of doesn't matter. It just falls out of immutability, because if you have immutability, you can have URI schemes for addressing parts of a document. You don't need to have the document itself broken into blocks. You can just say, I want to refer to this part of a document tree, or I want to refer to the characters at this offset. And that's enough. And actually, you could argue that that's more powerful in some ways, because it lets you pull in content that doesn't have this block nature built into it. Now, for an individual tool, there may be a lot of reasons you want to make the blocks a first class thing in terms of how the users interact with them. And certainly if you have an interactive application, there's implementation trade-offs around how you decide to do that. But I think for the content as a whole on the permaweb, Web3, whatever label you want to attach to that, you're ultimately going to need to support the URI style approach anyway, because not everyone's going to play your game with blocks. So you will need to be able to address content in flexible ways regardless, and you'll want to compose all different kinds of content. Once you have that, once you have like sub-document or sub-content addressability via URIs, what you're going to get is something that resembles a graph. It's just going to fall out of that. And I think the incentives of having the immutability and value addressability will just push everyone in that direction. So, for the large scale, I think that's the thing that tools for thought should really be focusing on. There's a lot of other things there's a lot of other usability things, and it's like interaction things, like how do people interact on these tools in a live way. But for the permanent web of knowledge that's being built, that stuff is more interface focused. The web of knowledge is going to be more value focused. Okay, hopefully that makes some sense. I'm just going to keep repeating this. I've said it in previous videos. I'll keep saying it again. Eventually I think I'll have my pitch for this boiled down to a point where it's comprehensible by other people, and by repetition, anyone who's listening hopefully it will sink in on hearing it repeatedly. Okay. Shutting down some Arweave nodes because those were affecting my my ability to stream too. So, okay, let's get started here. So, we tried to do this last time. I kind of went on the wrong path. There's some URL handlers in logseq that are there for, they're basically there just for the Electron desktop app. And I thought I could hook into those, but that's not actually the right way. I'm not sure what level those apply at, to be honest, but they're not the right thing, and I think I know where the right thing is. So we're going to go down that path and see if we can get this working. You know what, though? Stash prompt. Okay, cool. I just want to get I did a little bit of fiddling with this, which I stashed. I'm just going to start from scratch in the stream, but I wanted to remember the file I was editing. All right. Yeah, and I must have not. Yeah, edit anyway. Just do it. Just do it, NeoVim. Okay. So, like I said, the level we tried to implement this last time was at this URL handler, this like Electron URL handler level, and that just did not work. But I did some digging and figured out where logseq actually ends up rendering the content. And it has a bunch of, yeah, let me see, inline, yeah. Honestly, I don't remember exactly how I tracked down which function. But anyway, this file overall is just how logseq is rendering all the blocks in the document. So if you go through here, there's a lot of different cases that get matched. It's using match, which I don't know. Let's see. Oh, it's actually using core match. Interesting. Pattern matching library for closure. Interesting choice. Interesting choice. Didn't know anyone was actually using that. Cool. Anyway, definite inline. Yeah. So if we scroll through here, let's see. This is doing what? It's matching on item. Yeah. I have questions about how they're implementing this, but anyway, I'm not gonna not gonna dig into this. Like, why wouldn't you make it multi methods? But maybe the matching they're doing is more complex. Yeah, I guess they are doing some fairly complex matching here. Okay, yeah. So let's scroll down and see if we can find. I found it before. Oh, I know. All right. Yeah, I'm remembering how I tracked some of this down. Let's see, underscore blank. Yeah. Okay, so that's a file path. File. Yeah, this is the one. So this is where links are getting rendered. So where, and by the way, the way I tracked that down, I do remember some of this is, let me get my dev environment working. So, sample, logseq, gulp, watch. Actually, let me start CLGS. Yeah, that one. So that one, and then logseq. So I'll wait for this to start. I guess I can do this in my notes here. So I'll go here and we'll inspect this. So I just looked at how the links were rendered, I think is how I did it. And you can see some stuff like class external link underscore blank. And then you can just go search for some of that in the code. So yeah, you can see there's the A external link. I don't think that's how I ended up finding this exact file, but once I was in this file, that's how I found where the element was. Probably better ways to do that, but let's see. What is this else in? It's in cond. Is it part of the cond here? Seems like not. Let's see. So the else is it part of a match? Let's see. Oh, else? Yeah, so this is, here's the let. What's one up from the let? Ah, okay, so it's like an else branch. Interesting. I think it's the else branch of the match. I have actually not used. Yeah, really interesting. I have actually not used core match, so I don't fully know Yeah. But I guess it has a fall through. Like you can just put else in there and matches everything that's not matched by other parts of the statement. This definitely looks like code that has grown organically a little bit. You know, you'd kind of wish that more of this could be maybe in the pattern matching itself, but you know, that's how these things go. Like, okay, so let me see. Is this running? Yes, looks like it. Let me fire up the gulp thinger, which I think syncs some files. And this time we're gonna run this in the browser because that seemed like it was an easier way to test this. Hopefully it works. Yes. Now, well, we'll get there. One thing I don't know is when you're running in the browser like this, where is your config? Settings, general editor, advanced. So ideally, I'd like to edit config. Ah, here we go. Interesting. Okay, cool. Because I want to actually add a config option in here too that lets us specify what Arweave gateway we're using. So we'll start with just adding it hard coded, and then look into configurability. Okay, so do I have any old stuff in here? Looks like no. All pages, dummy. Okay, whatever. Okay, so let's just add a link to pulled up our, oops, that's not what I meant to click, pulled up our history of closure PDF here. So we'll just add that to our graph. So this would be a history of closure, and our URL is going to be Arweave and the transaction ID. So that should do, yeah, the browser's going to tell me. I don't know how to deal with that. So what we want to do is get it rewritten to yeah, first thing let's do is just take this. So we want to get that rewritten to be, instead of an AR:// URL, we'll just rewrite it to an HTTPS URL, and then the browser will know how to handle that. So that means that when you look at this, so right now if we inspect it, oops, no, I wanted to inspect the URL. Wow, my computer is struggling here with all the things I am throwing at it. Yeah, so this will end up showing up as a, you know, https arweave.net and / the transaction ID. You know, it would be nicer in some ways if we could just get the browser to handle these, but you know, that requires, well, I think you could do that in Electron maybe, but it it would require yeah, it wouldn't work in the browser then. So rewriting, I think, is fine. It just means that when you hover over this, it's not going to have that nice AR://. It's going to show you the HTTPS URL, but underneath, it's going to be all, you know, it's going to be all. Sorry, I'm struggling with a little bit of allergies here. It's going to be all described in terms of the Arweave URLs. So yeah, let's just do it, and it'll be more clear. Okay, so I think what we get here is we can match on the protocol. Let's see. Yeah. So we're inside a cond here. I'm going to take this, and we can just say or just say equals protocol AR, and we'll just say we'll just hard code it for the moment. So we'll just hard code it directly to the transaction that we're talking about. Let me close this so that stops. Ah, no. Oh, compilation failed. No, it makes sense. Okay, so we'll just directly hard code it to this. So we'll have to do, obviously, this is not ultimately what we want. We want to substitute in the right thing, but just to sort of check if our conditional is right here, we can do that for the moment. Okay, so let me fix up this. All right, so let's see here. We'll go in here. Oh, not that one. Go in this one. And we should see, yeah. So it did, now you can see what I'm saying. So it's going to say https arweave.net and then transaction ID. So it did match correctly. So the thing that we're missing now is if I were to change this, so we have JDE at the end of that. If I were to change this to, I'll just cut it out. So there, obviously since it's hard coded, it's not reflecting that. So what we can do, let's see, what's the right way to do this? What patterns do they have here? I mean, you could just do a regular expression. Honestly don't really know if there's a reason not to do that. Let's see. Do they do any kind of... href star, what are they doing here? Relative asset path absolute. There looks like there's a util namespace. I wonder if there's... I'm just wondering what the best way to strip out the... Well, I don't know. I think it's simple enough we could just do a regex. Let's just do that, and then maybe there's a better way. But that might also be something that if I do a pull request, I can just discuss with the logseek folks when I do that. So string. Actually, no. What is it? Like re. Oh no, it is. It's string replace, right? String. Yeah, replace. And then invalid symbol string slash. Really? It's weird. That's not right. That's totally valid. Oof, okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Okay. Let's go back down there. Okay, so let's do string replace. String replace would be, I think, first the regex. Should be AR : //. We should anchor that and replace it with https : //arweave. See, and this would be href? Maybe? I think so. Yeah. Pretty sure that's right. Let's see. Missing a... Oh. Did it lowercase all of that? Interesting. Really? Well, oh, it could just be, yeah. Let's do this. I think that might be misleading. I think it might just be lowercasing it because it's part of the, thinks it's part of a host name. Waiting. Yeah, so I think that worked. So let's see. Let's do same test just to make sure that things are actually hooked up the way I thought. Yep. Cool. So yeah, that's basically working. That is really it. This is sort of what I anticipated in the last stream, but I was just looking in the wrong place, doing the wrong thing. Um, okay, so let's see. I wonder what the map inline does. Well, what I'm wondering is how do we get this hooked up with the. I'm gonna do this. It's kind of a stupid way to do this, but whatever. Um, I'm just curious what we get inside that config, because the next thing I would want to do is try to add a config option that lets us specify the gateway. Because right now Arweave net is fine. Arweave team runs that; it's pretty reliable. Um, but the goal here is to have multiple gateways and multiple ways that people can access these transactions. Um, so let's see. Did we get any console log messages here? Yes, we did. So the config. Okay. I think the config is not. Yeah, I think that's some sort of local thing. It's not like a global config. Where does that come from? Config. Config, front end config. Block UUID. Yeah, I wonder. I don't really get why that's called config, to be honest. That seems a little weird to me. Get file absolute path. Well, can we print this out more nicely? Let's see what's in here. It looks to me like it's context about. Oh, interesting. There's some useful stuff in there, like the URL. It's complex URL. It's got a protocol, a link. Let's see if we could just grab that link. That would probably be better than doing the regex. Um, query result. Yeah, it looks to me like it's all context information about the block as opposed to some sort of global config, which is what I want. But surely we have examples of some of that global config. So let's see if we can find it. Let's see what the config namespace is. So there's a config, there's a front end config, front end, config dot, this one? Interesting. State. Okay. This might be the right spot. Looks like there's a global state object that gets pulled from. Let's try this. So do we have state in here? We do. Okay. Um, oh, okay. Let's try, let's call this global state config. And if we do at state, what does that say? Actually, let's do config. Okay. Yeah, that looks more like it. Yep. That looks like the right thing. Okay, so not something I mess with a ton in logseq, so I'm not super sure what that looks like. Add the config for the current graph. Okay, so what do we have here? Preferred workflow, journal, default templates, journals directory. Well, here it looks like shortcuts, shortcut doc mode. It looks kind of like the overall pattern is fairly flat with namespace stuff. So I think what we should do is something like this. So let's put in here Arweave gateway and our arweave.net. Okay. So error while sending. Hopefully that's not. Okay. There we go, Arweave gateway. So what we should be able to do now is, I'll just leave that structure there for a second. So we can do Arweave / gateway, state, like so. What did I break there? Oh, it's private. Meh. Okay. Okay, so let's go to config. I will add it here at the end. So, well, let's see. I don't know what the right spot to. What is it saying here? State is private. Funny. Well, clearly they're following this pattern. It's funny that that's private, but they're referring to it across namespaces. Let's see. Well, whatever. Let's see if this works first. So, what is it complaining about? Closure parity. Cannot read properties of null. Really? Okay. Does that fix it? Interesting. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Does that imply that? Oh, my bad. Yeah, that is just me forgetting where stuff is stored in here. So it's actually, for this it'd be cleaner, I guess, if I did git in then config like that. This should definitely be moved out into redundant. Yeah, I know. Unresolved. Oops. When did I change that? Ugh. State. It's going to warn me that it's private. Okay. Okay, so really? Really? Config Arweave gateway. Let's do that for the moment. Did my settings somehow get reset, or did I not save it? But we saw it there. I wonder, let me go check. Let me see. Editor, edit config. Feels like it got reset on me. No, Arweave / gateway. Arweave / gateway. Why? Okay, well, let's just do this. We'll print out the Arweave gateway here. Just copy this exact call. Okay, so yeah, I know it's private. Deal with it. So what do we have down here? Arweave gateway nil. Really? Arweave. Am I just doing some sort of stupid typo here? Okay. Arweave / gateway. I must be doing something silly. Config Arweave / gateway. Get in. Argument order is right. Well, let me do this. So probably is something silly, but I'm not seeing it yet. So we'll do state at state. What does that say? Ah, okay. So there's another. Okay. Yeah. Looks like there's another key in there. I didn't realize. So config, it's local. Interesting. Bloop. There we go. Okay, cool. So if I go back here and put this back, and this will need to be I'll need to do some cleanup on this before I submit a PR, but just getting the gist of it working here. Okay, so this needs to be local. What do we got? Bloop. Looks to me like it's working. Let's go edit the config here. Arweave 2. Actually, what I should do, I think there's a dev Arweave. I should put something in there that works. Um, I think this works. Yeah, let's just do that. We'll do that one. And I have like an actual working, um, other gateway to use. Arweave. So I'll look, see what that actually ends up. Oh, did it not? Oh, I don't think I copied the whole thing. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, let's try that. So let's go in here, settings, editor. So I change this to arweave.dev. Journal. Should be arweave.dev. Open a new tab. Got it. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's now try. I do not actually know if this works by default. Might not, but let's try this. So let's see if we can get an image working. Okay, so let's go to. Oh, I should say what this is. So this is an image. This is marked as NSFW too, so I'm not going to look through that too much. But it's the Genesis. It's like messages in the Genesis block of Arweave, I believe. Um, I assume people say things that are like swearing or something. Who knows what's in there? I think it was messages from people who supported the project very early on. So kind of cool piece of historical Arweave Arweave lore there, but also I'm not sure about the content of all of it. So what I don't know is with what I've done so far, if we just go in here and put, oh, how do you do, let me go look back at my notes. So the image format for, yeah, okay, it's the exclamation. Yeah, I just wanted to look how you embed. So if I do this, oops, this, Arweave Genesis block messages. Put this in there. What I suspect is that this is a different part of the. Yes. Yes. I think that's a different branch. So let's see if we can find that. Um, yeah, I think that would go here. This is interesting. Yeah, I think there's probably a bunch of places. So I noticed there's a PDF link thing too. So it would also be nice. I think if you go here, and let's see. So if I go to this and put a .pdf at the end, I believe this will work. Yeah. So it would be nice if, but probably will not work if I go to logseek and put a .pdf. I think this will probably hit a different branch. Oops, cancel. No, interesting. Interesting, okay. Okay, so Oh, that's an electron. Yeah, I think there's multiple places. So what I may do is submit a pull request with sort of minimal changes here, and then ask for guidance about some of these other places I need to change. Um, or I may look through it myself. I don't know. Maybe a combination. See how many I can find, and then ask for further guidance. Because I would really like this to be supported pervasively. So you can embed images and get, basically get all the same logseq functionality that's already built in, but just with Arweave support everywhere. And that would be pretty cool. I mean, we've got the basic concept going here pretty quickly, and I think it's probably um, all just more of the same. I doubt that there's any extra. Sorry, I'm getting distracted just looking at this while I'm talking about it. Um, yeah, it's probably just more of the same in different places in here. So yeah, so actually I may just wrap up here. I think this is pretty good. There's a little bit of cleanup to do. This thing here should probably be a function in that config namespace, and like here's a branch that's not going to get matched, but it should, I think, have the same logic in it. So yeah, there's more places to deal with in here, but it's all just going to be repetitions of the same core logic where you're just taking the AR colon slash slash and replacing it. Um, and this can probably be turned into a utility function too. So yeah, just more of the same, but I think it's all going to be pretty similar. There's just multiple places you have to do it. Um, yeah, I'm very pleased with this. So again, what this lets you do is you can start. Oh, interesting. It actually rendered differently. I put the .pdf on the end. Well, whatever. What this will let you do is start uploading things to Arweave and then embedding them. And the great thing about that is multiple people can embed them, but you still have the certainty that that's not going to disappear on you. So you get sort of the benefits of storing locally. The certainty that that content is going to be there. Um, but I suppose if you want to be super paranoid, you just index things locally too, based on the transaction ID. That's probably overboard, but you could do that too. But you have a shared identifier in the transaction ID for everyone to reference the same content. And that's really powerful because you get the same sort of guarantees you get with local storage. It's really under your control, but now you're storing in a way that everyone can start using it. So I think that's very in line with the ethos of um, you know open source that logseq is aligned with, and open knowledge. So that's it. I'll wrap up here. Yeah, I suspect that probably next time I'll be working on something different. One thing I thought of is I'm about to the point um, in the distributed mining pool implementation where I'm starting to look at smart contracts. That's one of the last things I actually have to do before going public with it. So I think that would make pretty good streaming content. Trying to go through implementing a SmartWeave contract because it's sort of self-contained. It can stand alone from a lot of the other stuff. Can have a tight feedback loop. So I may use that as a streaming topic. No promises there, but it's something I need to do anyway, and sort of fits well, I think, with both streaming and the things I need to do for the distributed pool. So yeah, I'm rambling a bit. I'll end it here. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad we got to see this work this time as opposed to last time where I went down the wrong path for an extended period of time. But yeah, thanks for showing up, and I'll talk to you probably next week or the week after. But that might be Thanksgiving, so probably next week. Talk to you later.